Well, welcome everybody to Inspired Conversations podcast show with Kim Evans. I'm so excited to be your lovely host today. I have a wonderful guest, Miss Ellen Stevens, on the show. We're going to be talking about mastering the inner game and how she has beat cancer. But before I start, you guys all know how I like to do. I like to just send a blessing out for the people who are listening to the show. May the podcast go as far as the east, as far as the west, as far as the south, as far as the north. Anybody that's listening to this podcast show may be blessed, and may you pick up maybe some ideas or a point or a tip or so, and that it can be transformative, that it can be motivational in your life. And I always like to invite God into my podcast show because without him, I'm nothing. And I want to continue to pray for all of you out there and also for our lovely host, Miss Ellen Stevens. Miss Ellen, you're back
Thank you so
on
much.
the podcast show.
Thank you for having me, Kim. You're so sweet. Like I've told you before, you're definitely my biggest fan. You're so sweet. You're
I,
always the best.
I really am. I'm going to let Ellen actually tell you about who she is, but let me just give you just a little bit. She's one of our best instructors at the Bay Club. Not only is she a fitness instructor, she's an educator. And I believe your background, Ellen, if I remember correctly, is in law when we first talked. Your
Right.
background,
Mm-hmm.
your
Right.
education.
Legal secretary forever. Yeah.
So she's a smart badass. She has been instructing in the Bay Area for 35 years. She actually teaches in a wide variety of formats. But her main objective is for members to feel successful together with a sense of community after every single workout. And that's when I actually just fell in love with her when I was taking one of her kickboxing inspired fitness training classes. She'll tell you more about that, and just fell in love with her because she makes everyone feel welcome and warmed, at any age. And she makes sure the main objective for everybody is to get the optimal exercise and health out of the classes, which I love about her. Some of her specialties include cardio strength, group power, TRX, spinning, PIO. And if all y'all at Bay Club have taken her bar, all of her classes are standing room only, as a matter of fact. In fact, we call it Ellen's Nation. Trigger point,
So
myofascial release, body shed, absolute bar. We love bar. I mean, bar is amazing. But out of all of that, she's just a beautiful human being. Ellen had a bout of suffering, experienced cancer earlier this year, and she's going to share that story with you. But Ellen, take it away. Tell the viewers who you are and what you do.
Oh, thank you, Kim. Like you said, I've been teaching in the Bay Area since 1986, and it is just a huge passion of mine. And mainly want to go down there, have the best class, and have people walk out feeling like they had a great experience. But again, like you mentioned, that they're part of a community. And when you're part of a community, you have faith, you have hope, and you believe. And which is what helped me through this cancer bout that we came down with earlier this last year. So really that's it. And after the cancer, I would say it's even more important to have a fan base, have a group, have a community that you actually feel part of, because that, besides family is the biggest part. And my husband, he was amazing, but you still need more. You just can't have three people trying to support you. It's too hard for them. It's too hard on you. So that when you have people that you think that you're important to their day, that makes you get better faster because you want to get back to making their day better. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So really that's
walk us through just a little bit, Ellen. What was the type of cancer that you
so in December of last year, 22, I was diagnosed with colon cancer, and I have ulcerative colitis, which is an autoimmune disease. I've had that for 30 plus years. So I've always had to watch what's going on in my gut, more carefully than maybe the average person. And I was just in for routine things. I kind of knew something was amiss, but needed to go get it checked. So yeah, got the big, you have cancer, last December 6th. And it was rough only because, you don't want to have to tell your family at the holidays. That's just not a good place. My older daughter had just had a baby, and that was heartbreaking to me. It's like, oh my God, I need to be around for this he's so amazing, so beautiful. And that was scary.
And that's your
And
first, I believe that's your first grandbaby, correct?
yeah, little Mitch, he's amazing. And then my other daughter, she's single and she and I have a very tight relationship. So that scared me too. Like, oh my God, you know, what's going to happen with her? So I didn't want to tell them over the holidays. So I told them after New Year's. And so that was kind of rough going down to the gym every day with a fake smile on, teaching.
I
And
remember you were still going, you were still actually doing your classes. You still showed up. You
yeah,
still came in with a smile. You
yeah, I
didn't
did
know.
that until
Yeah.
probably mid-January. I told them around the 4th or 5th and of January after we had a very nice New Year's
Yeah.
as a family up in Center River, Oregon, which was fun. But weighing in the back of my mind, like, oh, I gotta tell somebody, this is not gonna be good. But anyway, get it off my chest and dealt with it. Had a port installed, and after a million tests, different, I mean, I teach for, like I said, for 30 plus years, 35 years. I've never luckily had an injury where I needed a PET scan or an MRI or anything. I've had so many of those things now. It's like I had them all now. But so that was interesting. Had to have a port installed, and then they just started with everyday radiation
Let me
for.
ask you, and let me wind it back. So in January, that's when you have to make the notice. And
Mhm.
that's when you actually notified the class, and we weren't going to see you for a moment. And it
Yeah,
was like, wait a minute, where's she going? And the receipt that the love that you got from the community, how did that make you feel when you made that announcement? You had to make the decision like, look, I got to do these treatments. It's going to be 8 weeks or a couple of months, what it was. And everyone just corralled and just loved on you. How did that moment make you feel to know that you have community supporting and loving to help you to get through this challenge?
it's just overwhelming. It's overwhelming. You can't even describe how how you feel when you thought that you were going to work just to do your work and to give
Do
the
your
best
job,
job
just
you
do
could
your
do,
job,
right?
right?
Do the best job you could do and hope that people were happy and not bitching down the road. And to see how upset they were. And then also it was sort of like, wait, her? How could she be sick?
Exactly.
We look up to her. How could she be the one who's sick? Because she seems fit, she seems, on top of things. So wake up call for everybody.
It
Doesn't
can
matter who
happen
you
to,
are.
it can happen to anybody. And you bring up an important point, and I don't want to move past that real quick because that's important. You know, things happen to all of us, and just because you might be the most fit,
Yeah.
in certain classes and in certain situations, things can happen, and those things that happen is called life. It is
Mm-hmm.
a game of life. So you were tossed this card and you chose, I am going to play out this card, this hand, and at the end of this hand, I'm going to win.
Yep.
So when you started your treatments, what was it like, Ellen? Share with us. How did you gear up your mindset? What was the tipping point to say, hey, these are the 3 things that I know that I got to do, or these are the 4 things I know that I got to do every day and every week? And what were those things? Because that's
Well,
how you overcame it.
I kind of looked at it like a job. I kind of put on, sometimes you show up to work, you need to leave it at the door, Teflon, just show up, do your job. Even if you're not having the best day, in fitness, you can't walk in the room and be a grump because you're mad at someone who, almost hit you in the parking lot or whatever. You have to show up and just, I'm here, I'm happy. So I kind of put it like it was a job. I was going to do all of the treatments, show up every day, deal with whatever the symptoms were, and just try not to let it affect me. And just know that I believed in getting better. I believed in God going to let me get better. And I had the best support group ever. So with those things in mind, there's no way not to come out of it. And I still believe that. And I think that if you don't believe that, you are setting yourself up for big failure. You
How
have got to believe it. You've got to live it. And you've got to, I don't even know if I cried. I really don't even know if I cried. Maybe a few tears. I really haven't cried about it. It's just because shit, this is it.
That's
This is
right.
what happens.
I,
This is, oh
I,
well.
And I love the way, I'm just going to read it. You said you have to believe it, you have to live it. And while you were going through this process, then where was your fitness? Where did you put that? Where did that piece fall into? Or did you not do any, or did you just do meditation? What was your form?
No, what is that going on? Let me turn my phone off. I had to stop teaching, so I had subs for everything.
Mhm.
And the instructors who are my friends at the club, I look to who I kind of know everybody's schedule because I do a lot of the fitness admin for the team. So, and I know where they teach at other places. So I was trying to make it convenient for them if they could help me out and, teach a back to back or whatever. And the team was amazing. Every one of them stepped up and just picked up, 9 weeks of subbing for me, which is a lot to take on, especially when they all teach so much anyway. And so that was very generous. But I still did my Sunday stretches that I always do with a group of ladies. And the only time I didn't teach my Sunday stretches is during chemo weeks, because we had 6 weeks of radiation every day. I'd have to go to John Muir for 6 weeks every day. And my dog would come with me every day. She just wanted to be there. And it was amazing. My husband never missed an appointment. I mean, I kept saying, honey, you don't need to come. I feel good. He never missed an appointment. I mean, you could not have better support than
Wow.
he insisted on being there for every appointment, every phone call, every doctor's appointment, every blood test. It was just amazing.
So
And
also have to do chemotherapy or just radiation?
chemotherapy as well. Yeah, which was a whole different thing. So
Your hair is gorgeous.
Oh, thank
You
you.
would never look, you could never see you to know that you went through a hot mess. You would never know by looking at you. And I'm just gonna have to say, for you faith-led believers, and I'm gonna give them glory. That's the glory. Don't care. It's my show. I'm staying in and I'm sticking to it.
You're so funny.
God, seriously.
Yeah,
Look at that beautiful hair.
You're so sweet. So what happened with the hair? So we had the chemo. I had to have a port installed. And with the chemo, it would be an infusion on a Monday, say, for a couple hours. But it's different than like your sister with the breast cancer and stuff. Those poor ladies have to sit there for, say, 8 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. And I would only sit there for 3 hours. And then they would hook up a beautiful fanny pack with a IV wire hooked to the port, and it would pump chemo every 3 minutes and for 5 days. And so that was annoying because every 3 minutes you're zit, zit, this buzz, it drove me nuts. You kind of, forget about it after a while, but you have to sleep with the fanny pack on because it's installed in the port, and that was a pain. So because of that, say the chemo for the breast cancer ladies, the difference for them is they at an infusion center, if hair is important to them, where for me, hair was important to me. I felt that if I lost my hair, I would look more sick. And when you look more sick, you just feel more sick. I mean, I didn't want to look in the mirror every day and say, wow, you're sick. So I thought if I had hair, or at least some hair, maybe I wouldn't feel as bad.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't look as bad. So it was a big thing to me to figure out how I could try to save some of my hair. And
that's a very important point that you mentioned. I didn't know that could be a choice, depending upon the level of your sickness.
Oh yeah. That's like some ladies go right to breast cancer, say, and they're there for the 8 hours. And there's something called Paxman cooling caps, and you can pay for that. It's uncomfortable, but it can help save some of your hair because it freezes the hair follicles so that the chemo doesn't attack those hair follicles because they're frozen. It doesn't kill them. So that's a big thing. So, but because of me only being there for the infusion for 3 hours or 2.5 hours and having to wear the fanny pack for 5 days, I couldn't really wear that cap from the infusion center. It's a big computerized thing. I couldn't wear that for 5 days. So there's an amazing company called Penguin Cooling Caps, and they've come up with a manual system where you can rent this. You look like you're from outer space. Wow. I didn't care, and it's sort of like, you know what I mean when I say a soft cooler, like maybe you take on a picnic or a boat, like a soft cooler, like you'd put sandwiches and wine, stuff like that.
I get it. Yeah.
So it's made out of that kind of material, and it comes in a cooler, and you have to buy dry ice. I mean, my husband was at the dry ice store as soon as they would open, buying all the expensive 50 pounds of dry ice. You have to wear special gloves, and you have to put these caps on, and you have to start wearing them before your infusion. So we looked like idiots driving down Contra Costa Boulevard, pulling over in the parking lot because it was time to change the hat. I mean, the stuff that we went through because I was crazy about this.
The
And
hair.
every 30 minutes you would have to change his hat. And he just didn't care. He pulled that cooler in, and I'd go into an infusion, and I'd be being infused, and timer's going off, time to change your cap. And he was just so amazing. And I mean, I don't care if I looked
You know
foolish.
what?
I would
I
help
just
me.
it pays to have a good partner, and
Yeah.
luckily you had a good partner to help you go through this challenge, and
Yeah.
you were able to
Yeah.
overcome, and that's a great thing.
So
How
that would help the cooling caps for the weeks of the chemo.
how important was getting rest for you while you were going through this process?
Um, I really don't think I rested any more than I wasn't exhausted. I didn't say, oh, I need a nap or whatever. I walked the dog every day, and, I mean, I sat around more because I was home more. But I don't think I certainly didn't take naps, but again, I was lucky. I know I was lucky going in feeling quite fit. I really think that helped a lot. I didn't go in overweight or, hungry or anything. I just really stayed on task.
Mhm.
And I really think that helped with everything.
Mm.
And again, having a positive mindset.
Having a positive mindset, being fit, staying fit, living a lifestyle of fitness, even before this challenge eruption. And this is why we tell people, we educate people, we inspire people. Please live a lifestyle of fitness and wellness, please, because you
Mhm.
don't know what card is going to be dealt with you. I know I had a major surgery that I had to go through about 8, 9 years ago. And I thank God that I was as fit as I was, because I was able to shorten the gap to come back to work after. But
Right.
Ellen, this is beautiful. In addition to that, what would you like to share in terms of you wanted to come back to work? You
You
had a
wanted,
decision to make. You could have retired out and said, you know what? Hey, I'm good. I can. But what was that deciding factor to say, no, I want to go back? What
I
was
think a lot of people thought I was going to do that,
Mhm.
but I just have such a passion for showing up and I love a routine. I think it's important to have a routine in your life. I think if you don't have a routine in your life, I think you just sort of waste a lot of time. And there's not a lot of time to waste actually in life. So I think I really wanted to come back. I really wanted to get my fitness level back up to where it was. And the only way to do that is to be pushed.
Mhm.
And I like to push people. So therefore I need to be able to push them. And therefore
You
I need to
sure
be fit.
do. Ellen,
Yeah.
you sure do. Anybody knows that come to your class, they're gonna get a whoop ass. They really
You're
are.
so funny. You're so
But it's
funny.
pushing, but it's good pushing though. It is good pushing. And with that being said, I think this should be your new slogan. Every minute matters. Tell us
Yeah.
about that.
That's a good one. I like that one. You and your Ellen's Nation and every minute matters. I like that. But back to wanting to get back, on Tuesdays after radiation, my husband would drop me off at the health club, and a whole group of ladies who normally would be in my class at that time were waiting for me in the lobby, and we would walk together. And it started with just like 4 or 5 the first week. I asked the gal, hey, you want to walk? The next week she had arranged, she had mentioned it, there was like 15. And then the next week there was like 20. And the next week there was 30. It was amazing, to know that that many people would want to walk with you to see how you're feeling and to support you instead of signing up for whoever was subbing or whatever it happened to be on that Tuesday. And that was huge. And to know that they really were hoping that I would be able to come back made me get back there faster. You feel like you're helping them, and it just is such a nice feeling.
And also having that beautiful grandson of yours and seeing
Yes.
his smile. And that was, I keep saying, I said, Ellen, you are a champion of life. That little grandson have to have a grandma now. You can't check out right now. Come on. There's this, there's no other option. When life comes, it's A or B, it's light or dark. You have a choice to make every minute, every time, every chance. And you chose the high road. It's like, no, I'm going to survive this. So let me, as we begin to end this podcast show, what is next for Ellen? What's next on the horizon for you?
Well, if it was up to Kim Evans, I would be doing weekly podcast, which I would consider. But I've mentioned to you before, who would want to listen or who would want to talk to me? But maybe there is an avenue for that, especially if it's something that I could help somebody with talking about cancer. Ladies are afraid. There's so many things to be afraid of, and as you know, with your sister, you're afraid.
Yeah.
But just if I could help somebody face that and in a more positive way, or help them in fitness in another way, I'm happy to do that. So maybe I will take your advice. And
Well, everybody write in and say we're waiting for her show. All right. Come on live. And also the book. I'm already speaking prophecy. And then already the TED Talk. I mean, really, because you don't
TikTok. Oh my God.
you don't
I'm so bad on my
TED
Instagram.
Talk. I said TED Talk. That's even better.
Oh, I thought TED Talk. They
TED
said
Talk.
TikTok. I'm like, okay.
Nope, I'm not TikTok. That to me, I
Yeah,
think
I don't have TikTok either. Yeah, I don't either. I'm like, oh my God, I could never be able to do TikTok. I just did my first reel this morning. Come on, Kim. You know how bad I am. It's like,
that's amazing. I'm gonna have to check that out.
yeah, you have to see my reel this morning. You're going to cry when you see it. So just let me know what you think.
I just think that, we go through these situations to be life lessons for other people. And what you have gone through, you've come over on the other side. Look how amazing you look. God didn't have you go through that for nothing. So, can you just share with us how can people get in contact with you? I know you're on Instagram and you have a YouTube channel. Want to share what that is?
Oh, sure. So the YouTube channel, I don't know, I have to look at the link. But you can find me on Instagram at Ellen Hardspace Walnut Creek Bay Club's GFit. So that's the best way. You can DM me there, and I'm fast. I am good about responding there. You could leave a message for me at the club. You could call Walnut Creek Bay Club, and they can get a message to me. Kim has my email and my phone number if you wanted to message her as well. I'm happy to respond to anybody if anybody has a question.
So
Absolutely.
that's really good. Okay, on that note, see, we have another idea. I am
Oh, Kim is another idea.
I'm gonna put all her information in the show notes. And you know what? I think this is a good opportunity, Ellen, to have calendar and just have appointments. If people want to make an appointment with you to ask you questions, what do you guys say to that? I think that's a great idea, Ellen, to have
Have
that.
to get. Is that another app I'd have to get, Kim? Oh my
Really?
God.
No, not really. No, not really.
Okay. You'll have to show me how to do it.
It's very easy.
We could certainly do that.
It has
Absolutely.
been a pleasure. What would you like to leave the viewers? What last notes you would like to share with anyone who is going through cancer, that has overcome it and now leading a new lifestyle? What would you like to share to that? Let's speak to that person.
Again, you family is everything,
Yes.
and you have to believe. Believe in yourself, believe you're going to get better, believe in the Lord,
Mm.
and believe that people love you. Really, that's what it is.
Mm. And on that note, believe it, live it, and faith it. Ellen, it has been a pleasure again, our champion of life,
This week.
Ellen's Nation. It has been wonderful, you all, and thank you so much for watching KME Coaching Inspired Conversations. For those of you who would like to get in contact with me, my information is in the show notes. You can follow me on Instagram. You can also send me an appointment. I would love, you could book a strategy call with me, and I also offer one-on-one coaching. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Ellen, for being my guest. And you all
Thank you, Kim.
so much for being a part of Inspired Conversations podcast show. Thank you.